I'm really glad you're here. There is something special about celebrating Shabbat and being here in services together. There's something incredibly powerful about hearing your voices joined with ours, singing and chanting. Even the sounds of greeting and conversations, the chatter before the service, the chatter between pieces, it takes on a new essence when we're here in sacred space on Shabbat. This place, this holy place, the sounds, your presence brings a warmth, a comfort, and we are all certainly in need of comfort. Just a week ago, as Rabbi Fixler and I led services, there was a joyfulness in the air as we anticipated fireworks and festivities. We prayed for those impacted by the flood, but we had no idea the full extent, the magnitude of the calamity, the total devastation that had occurred in the Texas Hill Country. And as the images, stories, and names of those who were lost have been shared, the feelings of loss and sadness for many have become unbearable. The disaster of last Friday has shaken us to our core. I imagine, like me, you too have heard from friends, neighbors, loved ones who want to talk about what they've seen and heard about the flood. People who want to process in some way, in any way, that which is beyond our ability to make sense. Whether listening to radio reports, television news, or reading local or national publications, all around us are stories of suffering and loss, heroism and determination. There are chilling narratives written by survivors of the storm and testaments of love and tribute to those who did not. We shake our heads trying to understand, and the more we read or consider or watch, the worse it seems to get. Truly, what happened is unimaginable. And the exercise of trying to imagine so that we can come closer to understanding is the grueling, painful, upsetting, and in the end, fruitless endeavor so many have been consumed by this last week. In times of darkness and uncertainty, confusion and bewilderment, our people have always turned to Torah. Eitz Chaim Chi, it is a tree of life. Our ancient text has the ability to inspire, reassure, remind, and instruct us when all else seems dark, when we need to be reassured, refreshed, replenished, and re-enlivened. And this is indeed such a moment. And so I want to share two texts, or shall I say, remind you of two texts that I'm finding particularly comforting and powerful in these days. The first is the 23rd Psalm, often known more familiarly as "The Lord is my shepherd." It is the most well-known psalm and one we hear at funerals and memorial services more than any other. It's one of the most beloved and enduring pieces of biblical poetry, resonating across cultures and centuries as a message of comfort, trust, and divine guidance. While modern scholars sometimes debate the authorship of psalms, the traditional view holds that King David wrote Psalm 23, possibly during a personal reflection, exile, or gratitude. I've always felt that the words resonate so deeply with us because they come from one who knows what it is to ache. King David was no stranger to suffering, struggle, and loss. King David tragically lost multiple sons during his lifetime, each under a very different and heartbreaking circumstance. It is no wonder that the words of this psalm so powerfully capture and express the experience of struggle, grief, and bereavement. This week, a friend of mine posted a video where he quoted the second half of the second verse. "He leadeth me beside the still waters." We all know that we have had nothing close to still waters. The waters of destruction and torment were anything but still. They roared and churned and rushed and consumed, and a week later, even as the Guadalupe River has receded, the upheaval of those waters remain. and our hearts have been very heavy and consumed with sadness because of it. But the next verse of the psalm says, "He restoreth my soul." My soul does not feel restored. So new, God, where's the restoration? There were no still waters and there is no restoration. I imagine if you're like most people I have spoken to, this work of soul restoration is hard to come by because we keep returning to the news for updates. We doom scroll on our phones to read the latest story or explanation about how this could have happened and where was the warning and who did what or did not do what and who was to blame. We receive texts forwarding the latest press conference and hear about flooding and warning systems, and it will be added to the Ledges special edition, and so on and so on and so on. And because of this constant curiosity that comes from our inherent need to understand and just try to make sense of things that we cannot understand, because of this constant exposure, it bears heavier on our souls. It's not just awful that it happened. We keep replaying it. Our souls are not designed to carry this kind of information, the kinds of details that we're hearing about or seeing images of. We may not have been in those river waters in the early hours of July 4th, but to our souls, all the reading and watching and listening and seeing day after day, hour after hour, it may feel like we were. It may feel like we are experiencing the trauma of the flood. And for you, my dear ones of this community, who have experienced floods in your home or your school or your business or your community, it is not too much to say that you may well be experiencing a post-traumatic stress as if that is happening to you again. So no, it probably does not feel like God is restoring your soul right now. And my message to you on this Shabbat, if you hear nothing else, is this: please let God. Allow God to help restore your soul. Our souls need restoration. It is holy work to allow the maker of our souls to do the work of restoration. And I'm here tonight as one who cares about you, one who is eager to provide care and support to all who are here. I'm here to remind you to find God, to allow God to restore your soul, your tired, aching, sad, helpless feeling soul. Being here, singing, praying, hugging, blessing, celebrating, these are the ways that God restores our souls. Eat a delicious meal this Shabbat. Listen to a piece of music that you love. Read a good book. Do something crafty. Play a game. Spend time in the garden. Sit with a friend or a loved one. Please let God make space. No, it will not fix the devastation, make someone's home whole, or bring people back to life, but it will help you. And right now, that's the best place to start. If you recall, I said that there are two texts from tradition I'm finding particularly meaningful at this moment. Psalm 23 is the first. The second comes from this week's Haftorah portion, also verses that are likely familiar to you. Micah chapter 6, verse 8. It hath been told thee, O man, what is good, and what the Lord doth require of thee, only to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God. The restoration we seek, the restoration we need is so crucial because only with souls restored can we live up to this highest measure of what God expects of us, doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with God. We absolutely have a role to play. We have care to express, and we have help to give. But that work, that soul work, those mitzvot, can only be done when we have something of ourselves to give. Yes, we must show up, we must donate, we must demand that the attention of lawmakers and representatives, we must ensure that those who are most impacted have basic needs and emotional support, and when we are spiritually fueled, we are best prepared to do so. While it may sometimes seem like taking the time and resources to allow God to restore our souls pulls us away from doing justly, loving mercifully, and walking humbly with God, nothing could be further from the truth. So consider this message tonight one tiny little dose of restoration. And the music of our service, another little piece. And the warmth and care of community, the smile of those around you, the greetings of Shabbat Shalom, another measure. And continue to allow this Shabbat to be one where we allow God, through the beauty and richness of our faith and traditions and ritual, to restore our souls. Shabbat Shalom.